Hey guys, what's up? Okay, so this last weekend I decided to do some demo reviews of some invite players from Exertus Esports, who are one of the top three invite teams this season, and they played off against the fourth place team, Street Hoops, and yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to go over the medic POV, and I did it for my stream, but I kept the recording of it, and now I'm gonna put it on YouTube for you guys. It's literally just the whole time we're watching the Fragile, and I'm a main caller for my open team, so I thought it'd be interesting to sort of look at the decisions that Fragile makes as a medic, and Fragile is like very solid, one of the top medics in the game right now, so definitely worth watching him. And actually, Badonsky was watching my stream, the demo man for Exertus, and he was thinking, hey, I'd like to join in on the fun too. So the next video that'll come out will be Badonsky actually going over his POV, so watch out for that video later on this week. But for now, enjoy this demo. Okay, this is a week 8 match for ESEA-Invite between XTS, Exertus Esports, and 20B, which is Street Hoops Esports, and we're going to watch the Fragile the whole time. Okay? So, I already watched the first mid. They are going to try and run up the right side, but the Fragile is not going to quite make it up there. You'll see. What you're trying to do on mids as a medic is you're trying to take the high ground. So your objective is to try and run up one of the sides and get to the high ground as fast as you can. But the thing is that the other team will prevent you from doing that, and you'll see on this mid that he just can't make it up. His crit heals is on his pocket soldier behind him. You can see him healing his scouts here. And again, his scouts can't take the high ground, so he can't take the high ground either. Look, he's just being shut out here. He wants to climb, but he can't. He's realizing he's losing, and he's out. And once they lost Badonsky, it's difficult for them to win the mid. So he's pulling back here, and Kozen's going to have himself a 25-30% Uber advantage, and they're gonna have number advantage here as well. So Street Hoops are probably gonna get the 4th point for free. For XTS, they're not gonna be able to get there in time to defend it, but what they're gonna try and do here is do a lobby hold and slit on the enemy team and get their spawns up. So they get their spawns up in time. Alpha's gonna go sniper here, and they're gonna poke to blast. Actually, Alpha's going heavy, so they're just gonna force the Uber and then kite and come out with a better Uber. That's the whole entire plan right here. This left side hold, pretty standard, pretty strong. This heavy sound is really annoying. The left side lobby hold is really strong because you can force really easily on the shutter door, and you can see Badonsky's on the right side. Devilman is actually surprisingly good at holding the river on the right because the way the hill is slanted, you can just get pipes and stickies over the top. Plus, you can sticky out the top side. I don't know, I call it the T, but it's where the lobby stairs meets the river. So it's really easy for the Demoman to lock that out and then also play water. So a lot of Demoman, what they'll do is they'll stay on that right side where Badonsky is, get pushed out river and then back into water, and then be there in time to sticky on point and defend. And then for the Fragile, he's playing here with the Heavy, so the Heavy is going to be able to deny any jumpers that come off of river or underneath. And the Pyro is extremely good at air blasting the shutter door. So they got everything pretty much on lock, and Alpha's sniping lower main slash top right. So this should be a pretty easy hold for them. Even Ubers, Pro Lander setup, which means like one of each class. And as you can see, they shoved Badonsky out, so he's not going to be able to stay on there. And, Rando, the pocket soldier, taking his heals top right balcony and jumping someone every once in a while. Looks like the Heavy's going to drop down a point. This is at this point where it's extremely dangerous for the team because everyone had their backs turned and was facing the point, but it was a really nice cap by Paragon, so a bit of a mistake there by XTS. They had all the doors they wanted covered, but the Heavy was just too far away from the point to block, and no one else is really in a position to block. You can't have your sniper block. The Pyro can try, but he walks pretty slowly, and Rando just jumped top right with his heals, so that wasn't going to work out either. Next mid looks like they're going to go left side. Yeah, they should be going left. Fragile climbing top left with his soldier. And right here, they're losing on this mid. So you can see that the Fragile has a 10% Uber advantage, which is negligible. And what happened here is Badonsky is down to 42 health. So he probably ate 2 pieces of damage. And the scouts are both at 85 health, so they also probably ate a piece of damage each. So as you can see from the other health in the other team, Duatna's full, and Paragon and Deadbolt are also full. So Street Hoops again in the favorable position. You can see there's a roaming soldier for Street Hoops underneath and drop down, so that was probably called when Fragile or Rando went big door. So they know that they're in trouble. They're not going to be able to win the fight in front, and they have a roaming soldier underneath them ready to punish them and drop down. So they got to be careful here. They're trying to heal the best they can, and maybe that roaming soldier wasn't called, so Fragile goes down right away. And they're just going to lose this mid. And likely lose the round. As long as Street Hoops keeps their medic up, they're going to lose the round here. So XTS, what they're thinking is either need to get the medic pick or you need to like leave right now. So the Melee got out, Badowski went for the sacrifice and gets Kozin. Pretty big play by him. And with the heals, XTS in a 3v4 should be able to defend second point.
Time has been added.
So Fragile's not really building too well, but he won't get himself more than a 10% Uber advantage here, if anything at all. Okay, so they're not really building very well. They're just going to even things out. Even Ubers, just chilling. It's better to hold the choke than it is to hold the big door, just because it's easier to lock it out. The big door is a lot wider, harder to spam. Choke is easy to lock out. And you can see the way Rando is positioned. It's to deny the enemy easy access to the half health pack. So in many cases, for the attacking team, for Street Hoops, they have to choose between going big door, which offers them a wider entrance and also the ability to enter into lower lobby, versus going choke, which is health pack and a choke that they can push in. The health pack is pretty valuable actually at choke. And oftentimes on even Ubers you want to exchange directly into their combo, so it's sometimes better to go choke. I won't say always, but sometimes. You can see right now Street Hoops is making a play in lobby, and it didn't work out for them. Ash goes down, and XTS has a chance to push here, and actually the 2-3 push for Gully Wash isn't too bad, so they might go for it. Yeah, they're gonna exchange Uber. They pop first, and while they haven't popped Kozin yet, and Fragile's at 50% Uber, so this is a really good Uber here for Street Hoops, but they're down one player, and Grape is at 28 health, so they likely the whole situation is going to even out right here. Rando goes down. Oh, looks like Street Hoops coming out. Oh, nice. Decimate gets 2 kills, so it's kind of scrappy. Melee picks up when it chokes, so they're going to go on this. Nice. That was really well done. I like how the Fragile healed Badowski, made sure they kept the Doberman alive. Ooh. Badowski almost dies there. That was risky. Big Badowski gets the frag on the Duatna. So without the Demo Man, it's going to be really easy for XTS to just walk right into choke. There's no traps here, they can just walk it right in. And I like how Fragile is taking his time. He buffed up his Demo Man to 180, and then you can see how he buffed one of his scouts to run away. So I talked about this in my scrims tonight. You want to buff one of your scouts to run ahead, and then the other scout can be a little bit lower health and you can just tank with him. Oh, Badowski, I didn't know you were watching. You can, you want to join me? How about the next one? You get in on the next one with me, Badowski. Okay, so anyways, they kill Duatna, and they're just gonna walk right in. And Fragile's stalling here because he knows that he doesn't want to get jumped by anyone out of upper lobby. And the Ubers are gonna even out anyways. Even Ubers here. And run it down the left side. Looks like they think they have advantage. This is going to be a mistake for them because Street Hoops is going to pop a significantly better Uber. Badowski gets 1 kill, but he's in trouble now. He gets killed. 5 on 4. And they couldn't quite decide. Fragile couldn't quite decide if he's going to stay in or back out. Fragile's obvious decision there was to back out because the only person he could heal was Badowski, and Badowski died. So the only choice for Fragile was to leave. But so many players for XTS were committed that Fragile stayed around because he thought he could help them out. And the thing is that they thought they had Uber advantage, so they committed their entire team to this push, and it's gonna work out. It's not gonna work out at all for them. And hey, Jazzmaster, what's up? So it's gonna be just the Fragile alive, and he's not gonna be able to do anything at all. Alpha goes for a sack play, doesn't work out. Okay. So 5 on 6, and this should be a cap for Street Hoops. And at the Fragile, he's not been building very well, so you can see Street Hoops is going to have an advantage. Now, whether or not Street Hoops knows they have an advantage is a different thing, but they might just go because, you know, they might have realized that Fragile hasn't been building this entire time, and look how far back XTS is holding. So if Street Hoops were to peek and see this right now, they would realize that Fragile didn't have it. Now, Fragile fakes his Uber because he knows the Uber timing, and he's going to pretend like he has it, but is Street Hoops going to fall for that? They might. Yeah, look how far back Fragile is. He's playing it safe. And yeah, Street Hoops is going to play it safe as well and not push. So even Ubers. And Street Hoops are just happy to hold their second point. So XTS right now, what they're trying to go for is one of a number of different ways that you can break an even stalemate. Roamer suicide, scout suicide to sniper, or even Uber exchange. Those are the 3 options you really have. And it looks like they go for the roamer suicide. Mela dies immediately to the trap. And now XTS, see how they pull back here? They're expecting Street Hoops to push the 6 on 5. That flank from Street Hoops is super aggressive. You can see them there. You can see how Ash pushed all the way up the flank and started spamming into mid. And what I like that Exertus did here is that they didn't put any of their players on the big door at all. Their entire focus was on the choke where the enemy combo was, and they're almost inviting Ash to walk in on the flank, because if Ash commits to that, he's gonna get picked off in a 4-on-1 or a 4-on-2. So they're just leaving the big door completely open and focusing their entire efforts on the enemy choke. So Mela's gonna spawn here and it's gonna even out the numbers once again. And they're buffing up, they're just chilling, looking for opportunities, kind of assessing the status of Street Hoops. You can see Street Hoops, they have a lot of movement. Street Hoops actually has their combo back on Shutter Door. You can look through the walls and see it. So they're trying to figure out what Street Hoops is doing, they're trying to figure out what they want to do. The Mela sacrifice didn't work because he died to a trap, but could have been a lucky trap. They could try it again if they wanted. It wouldn't be unheard of. The score is 0-1. Street Hoops in the lead by 1 round, so XTS eventually has to push. They can't just park the bus and win that way. And Fragile is completely lost. Now he is totally out of position right here. If Street Hoops were to push the choke, they'd be able to push a choke that has no heals on it. But looks like Fragile is going to rotate the big door, and now he's in position again. Now what you're looking for, if you're rando in this situation, the pocket soldier for Exertus, if you're rando, what you're looking for is an opportunity to exchange the Ubers on the big door. Or what some teams will do is they'll duck in on the left side Shutter Door and try and take the lobby. And I've seen teams take the lobby, run up the stairs in lobby, all the way up to upper lobby behind the enemy team without using Uber. And that's a really unique situation, but it's actually very positive because you'll have high ground and a health pack to help you. But the bad side is you can get forced at any time and you can end up with a bad Uber. So Rando, you can see here, he's trying to break the flank, and Alpha helps him out, takes down Paragon. So with that 6-on-5, they're looking to get in ideally for free. So you can see the way Alpha's positioned and Rando's positioned, they're peeking in to see where Street Hoops combo is. And if you take a look right now, Street Hoops combo is not at the choke, but they're not at the big door either. The Street Hoops combo is somewhere in the middle. And that gives Rando 2 choices. Rando can just pop Uber right here, jump onto Kozin and force Ubers, and then use the number advantage to finish out the team fight. Or they could just stall right here and not cross this line that you're seeing. If they don't cross this line, they're not going to be committed to the fight. And they could sacrifice Mela in through the choke, or they could poke in Badonsky. They have a number of different plays here. But with number advantage, well, let me explain this. It's 6-on-6, and you pop an Uber. If you get 2 frags, if you get a 2 frag advantage, you can continue the push and win. And as you can see, Exertus is halfway there, right? They have 1 out of their 2 picks that they need. So they just need to turn 1 more pick somewhere, and the Ubers need to get exchanged somewhere. So they can either exchange the Ubers now or exchange the Ubers later. And it's on Rando. Both decisions are correct. they could spam Cozen and get a force that way, or they could immediately pop right now and exchange. There's a number of different options here, and it looks like Alpha wants to play up, but he's a scout. He can choose to leave at any time. The way Alpha's playing, they could almost sacrifice Alpha for the force. You can see Alpha took damage. He's down to 85, and looks like Rando's 222. That's fine. Stickies are coming into Fragile, so he's thinking about popping soon, but he doesn't really want to pop first. You can pop first in this situation, but if you can get the enemy to pop first, that's even better. And because you have number advantage, because you have a full surround on them, right? The enemy combo is completely trapped, and they're not locking down any of the chokes. You can see what Streepers would want to do is force the Uber right here, but Xertus used the number advantage to break through the choke before Duatna could lock it down. Also, if you look at the other choke on the other side, this is completely open as well, because Duatna's been throwing stickies at the big door. So as long as the Fragile stays alive here and doesn't use Uber or delays as long as possible, they can get players in through the choke and focus fire Cozen for this force. It looks like they're going to pop at about the same time, so this is probably the best situation that Street Hoops could have hoped for, and not a good situation at all for Xertus. So unfortunately for Xertus, this is not a good Uber for them. Again, they had a 6-on-5 scenario. They could have popped the Uber of Cozen first by not committing their bodies, but because Fragile committed and Rando and Alpha all committed to pushing into the point, Fragile took sticky damage from Duatna and had to force. And Ash made a really big play in lobby, getting 2 frags over there. So now Xertus are not such a favorable position. Also, hey FaZe, how's it going, dude? So, it looks like Xertus are going to have to back out of choke. They're committing players to this. I'm not quite sure why, but Badowski gets a frag there, so it's 3-on-3. This isn't too bad now. Mela's doing a great job of distracting, but he's caught in, and Badowski's trying to help him get out, or at least turn a frag there. And well, they traded at least. So Mela created enough of distraction for Badowski to get a frag and trade frags that way, but it wasn't the ideal situation. They didn't want Mela to be caught in necessarily. Looks like they're going to try and break this again. Nice frag there. I love the way they use the heals on their scouts to just push right in through choke. And it looks like they have a number advantage pushing last, but Paragon's going to spawn in time. So 6-on-6. Let's hope Xertus doesn't make the same mistake of thinking that it's advantage. Yeah, they're going to solo Uber in here, or they're going to... okay, they're sacrificing Mela. Okay, that works too. Both are acceptable. They get the frag on Ash. Nicely done. So 5-on-5 still. They could sacrifice another player if they wanted to. Looks like they're just going to be happy with evening it out. Is Mila going to off-class to Sniper? Okay. It's going to be the... he decided better. Paragon's going to be Sniper, though. Paragon is insanely good at sniping. He's probably one of the better snipers in Platinum Highlander. If not the best. And Deadbolt's playing Spy here. I'm not quite sure. Oh, no, he's just checking what Mela's doing. Okay, so they're just going to wait for Alpha to turn the frag. This is kind of the boring part of TF2. If you're the Fragile, what you want to be doing in this situation is keeping as much heals on Alpha as you can. The enemy team's going to try and spam out Alpha and deny him the sniping angles. And so you'd want to be healing Alpha as much as you can. You see Alpha down to 9 health, almost died there. He's going to need to get re-upped. There's 3 different places you can snipe from on this map. Top left balcony, which Alpha decides not to snipe from. Underneath, which is what Alpha did the first time, and then the deep left side on River. The deep left side on River is probably the worst angle of the 3. You can see Alpha again going for underneath. The reason why the River is the worst of the 3 is because the angle is super tight, especially when the enemy combo plays closer to the shutter door. And it's also the riskiest because it's the closest one to the enemy, and you have height disadvantage. Alpha trying again from that lower door. He's directly challenging Paragon. on the left side, left side spawn door. Waiting for Alpha to turn a pick. This is the boring part of the match. Gullywash has a notoriously difficult last point to push because the choke points are all very, very difficult to push, and it's very easy to defend the last point as well if you properly position your combo. The one round that Street Hoops got was due to an improperly positioned combo, but if on defense you position your combo correctly, you should be able to block the point easily. So it's very difficult to break into last point, and the sniper angles are not that great. And it's hard to work the sniper into a good position. You can see Alpha now going for that river one, and yeah, that's like I said, it's like probably the most dangerous of the three. So he goes down, and they're going to reset. And Alpha will probably come out scout here because the sniping thing just wasn't working out. Oh, Rando gets a pick. They might actually go on that. If Alpha comes out scout, he'll be up in time after the Ubers are exchanged. So they could exchange Uber right here if they wanted to. It looks like they're going to play it safe. Okay. Many teams choose to do this differently. Some teams are more aggressive about it and get rid of the Ubers and then dry push. Other teams will play it safe like this and just do sack plays. Alpha's going sniper once again. And Alpha gets counter sniped. Now, unfortunately for Street Hoops, even though Gullywash's last is one of the easiest last points to defend, it's also one of the hardest to push out. So even though they get that one-man advantage from the pick from Paragon, it's not good enough for them to push out. They do get a pick on the Mela who goes sacrificing, but again, you need significant man advantage to push out, like 2-man advantage or more to even push out. And also it's very easy to get back capped on Gullywash last, so it's risky. Whoa, scout pushing river. Benassi is too good for that. He spots it out, denies it. So yeah, I've seen some pretty creative last point breaks that the offensive team can do. Exertus, besides running a sniper over and over again, they can do 3-man sacrifice plays, 2-man sacrifice. I think 4-man sacrifice is a little bit too many players. You won't have enough players alive to defend this second point. But I've seen 3-man sacrifice work pretty well. I've also seen some interesting conch plays from Classic Mix-Up, and then later from Banny's team. BP. Forgot the name. The way that play works is you'll have your pocket soldier run conch and build the conch, and then use the speed boost to put pressure on last point. The last point on Gullywash caps extremely quickly. So the conch play is pretty good. You can look it up on YouTube. There's some videos on that play specifically, made by Team Fortress TV. But it looks like there's really nothing to comment on here. If you're Street Hoops and you know the enemy team's running a sniper, you just play really, really close to the doors, because the sniper puts pressure on the spawn doors, but it puts absolutely zero pressure on the shutter door on the close right. So as long as your combo plays near the shutter door, it's essentially impossible to get sniped. Mela again going for a sacrifice play. Exertus going for pretty much the most conservative aggression that they can go for. The least amount of aggression. It's the most defensive play they can do. It's just very, very slow. Looks like Decimate actually gets picked off, so that's a 2-man advantage, and Streams are going to move on that. And you can see Exertus, I like how they're doing this here. They go for the 2-man, and then they're back out in yard. The 2-man, of course, I'm not sure if it's by choice or not, but they lost Decimate. And at that point, when you go 2 players down, it's impossible to hold the lobby. So I like what Rando's doing here, peeking the lobby and stalling the enemy team as much as he can, because Decimate's going to be up in 13 seconds. But they're also playing out in yard. They're scared of getting forced. Now, the way Fragile's playing is pretty good here. What he's doing is positioning himself away from the upper lobby, so that way the roaming soldier that bombs out of there won't get him necessarily, although there's a scout watching it right now. The one thing he has to be aware of is the lower shutter door over here, and Rando is keeping an eye on that by keeping this door open. So pretty good play from here. Now, once he gets shut out of this door, Rando can no longer peek the door, so XTS will probably back up to choke. Yep. It's going to be tough for Rando to be holding here. Well, it looks like they're pretty confident about it. playing pretty close. Wow. So they're choosing not to back up to Shutter, and likewise, Street Hoops is not choosing to exchange the Ubers. So Street Hoops is doing a forward hold here in lobby, and XTS, rather than breaking the forward hold in lower lobby, they're going to go around upper lobby. You gotta be careful here, they don't get forced. This is a pretty dangerous choke point. Nice job there though, they get the pick onto Deadbolt. This is the main advantage they're looking for. They flash 2 players in, and they get the late force on Kozin. I'm not quite sure I agree with this, because now their Uber's gonna fade super quickly, and look how much trouble they're in now. Fragile goes down, Badonsky gets a pick, but it's not gonna be, oh, is it gonna be enough? What? Badonsky gets another one. He's the best. Wow. That was nicely played by Decimate, I believe, in the water. Forcing the enemy team to point and then allowing Badonsky to get those frags. It was really well done. I didn't think that was going to work out so well for them because Street Hoops has a significantly better Uber. But one thing you'll note is that when the Ubers come off, the least important person after the Uber comes off is the medic. I'm oversimplifying it, but the medic is probably the best class only because you're invincible, and at the point where your Uber comes off, he becomes the least important class. So getting the medic frag there wasn't as valuable. It's valuable for the long term, but if your medic never gets Uber and you don't get that advantage and they just out frag you, it's going to be 5-on-5, and you have more fragging classes even though you lost your medic. So really nicely done there by XTS. It's like a little bit of a confusion in the play call, and they're going to do a choke rollout. And what the choke rollout does is it ensures that your combo makes it to the high ground safely. So when you go big door, you kind of have to force yourself up one of the elbows and try and make it to the high ground. If you go for a choke rollout, you instantly put yourself in the high ground. But the downside of doing the choke rollout is that you have very little presence on the right side of the map, on the enemy choke. So that's the trade-off. Looks like Melee's going to go drop down here. When Melee goes drop down, it's a slow play. It's very similar to when you go on Snakewater, putting your soldier in enemy kitchen. It's a slow play. You need to stall time for Melee to get around, down underneath the drop down, and then jump up on the enemy side. So XTS needs to slow play this here and just make sure they don't take too much damage. And once Melee bombs, they need to all get aggressive with him. So Melee bombs, you can see Rando goes in to try and help out, but there's so many hurt players for XTS. There's a couple hurt players too for Street Hoops, but they're just in a much better position, and looks like Exertus are going to play it safe and back out. So I like what they're doing here, playing back, getting the pick onto Ash, 5-on-5, even Ubers, and it's Street Hoops just capping mid. Decimate goes for the extra sack. And he's on the longest spawn possible. Decimate had a 19-second spawn. So Street Hoops pops first, Fragile pops second. Demoman Uber right here is not terrible. Typically, a lot of teams will frown on Demoman Uber, but you can see that Badonsky's effectively able to shut out the enemy team here with this Uber, and I believe Rando jumped to the high ground to get a health pack. No, Rando's behind in lobby. That was Melee who jumped to high ground. Okay, so it looks like you're soloing Badonsky, making sure you get the better Uber. With XTS being down a player, they need to play extra defensively and keep high health here, and shut out as many players as they can, and then collapse on this pocket soldier right next to them. So that's pretty nicely done. Like I said, it could have gotten sketchy there because they were down a player. So after the Ubers came off, Street Hoops could have done a 6-on-5 push, but Badonsky did a really, really nice job of shutting out the enemy team and not letting them come back in to collapse on the 6-on-5. And that's all you need. And at that point, Grape had to back out defensively. So now that the team fighting is over, it's really important that you focus on building and not buffing. So they're going to build, build, build. So the entire time you're building, you're watching for the enemy team to do a dry push on you. So the way this dynamic plays out is if you buff too much, you're going to lose out on building. Every time you switch targets when you're healing, you lose about 1% of Uber advantage on the enemy team. So the enemy team will gain an Uber percentage on you. So it's really important that you focus on building, but at the same time, you need to do a really good job of scouting what the enemy team is doing, because if the enemy team is buffing, they could do a dry push off of the health advantage. And that's exactly what's happening here. If you look on the right side of my screen, above my head, you'll see that Street Hoops has significantly better health advantage right now. They have 4 players who are buffed compared to XTS only has 1 player buffed. And there's 2 reasons why that's happening. 1, Street Hoops decided to buff and then do a dry push, and XTS decided to build instead. And 2, XTS decided to build on a scout. And the reason why building on a scout is arguably the worst option when compared to building on the pocket soldier is because if Street Hoops decides to do this dry push, what they are doing, it's going to take longer to buff Rando up to full, whereas it takes less time to buff a scout up to full. And also, scouts, a fully buffed scout has a harder time locking out the choke than a fully buffed pocket soldier. So XTS is in a really bad position here. You see Fragile has to pull off the choke because he sees, looks like that's Ash creating the space at the choke. So really dangerous situation here for XTS. They need to quickly get some buffs out and then deny the enemy team from walking in choke. So if Badonsky does a good job of locking out the enemy team, then this scout soldier from XTS can kill Ash on the left side and get that easy frag and then do a push with the uber advantage that they've been building up. So let's see what happens here. It looks like Badonsky's gonna get pushed out and Street Hoops shoves in, kills Rando. Alpha gets 1 kill, so still 5 on 5, but remember, Street Hoops, they can back out at any time and play it defensively. And that didn't work out for them at all. I mean, it worked out for XTS really well. It didn't work out for Street Hoops the way they wanted it to. Ash jumped in, created the distraction, and they got the opening frag, but then they couldn't get the rest of their players in. And XTS did a really good job blocking that out. And Street Hoops also overcommitted to it. So, like I said, Street Hoops could have backed out at any time, but instead they overcommitted and got locked out. So it looks like XTS has the 2-man advantage, which will allow them to capture 4th point, but not enough to last. And again, we're in this very familiar situation. It's slightly better for XTS now that it's 1-to-1. It's not so much pressure. But again, we're in this very familiar even uber last hold. And looks like they're going to do the melee water play. Okay. Again, the combo for XTS plays it really slow to allow Melee to get in position in water. And I like how they sent in a scout in to help Melee try and turn a frag there, but it didn't really work out. Just from watching Fragile for the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, like, you guys know he's like one of the top medics in North America right now, so mechanics are super solid. He hasn't really made any significant positioning errors, but this might be the first one that he made here, with that nice bomb from, I don't know, is that Ash? No, it was Grape? Someone bombed in and forced Fragile. That was really, really sly. I like the positioning of Fragile here and Badonsky. They know that they're trying to stay at choke and stall 2nd point as long as they can for these respawners, but they don't want to overcommit themselves because Street Hoops has a significant number advantage. So you can see Badonsky's playing super defensively. Oh no, they're gonna throw in a soldier here. Not sure I agree with that play. They do get Duatna though. Nice job by Mela at the choke. They just need to focus on getting uber advantage here. Keeping their uber advantage, getting uber, and then doing a push with it. Nice job by Badonsky at the choke. Holy moly. Big play from Badonsky. Gets 2 frags there. Let's get past the pause. That was kind of questionable play from Street Hoops because, yeah, they had number advantage, but they didn't all go at the same time, and once the play was lost, like, they still continued on and fell into Badonsky's trap. I like what Fragile's doing here too, is keeping his uber advantage. He's got a 55% uber advantage here, so this could potentially be round winning if they do it correctly. When you have significant Uber advantage like this and you're on your middle point, there's two ways you can win the round. You can wipe the enemy team on second point with Uber and then roll it into last, or you could bully them out of second point with spam and the threat of Ubering, and then cap second point for free and then Uber into last. So that's what XTS should be going for when this pause comes off. And right now, because so many players are down for Street Hoops, it looks like they're going to go for the bully option, not using Uber on second point, getting the cap for free, and then using it into last. You see, they get it for free. Here they are positioning themselves, getting ready for last here. Fragile has Uber right now. Here, so ooh, they lost melee before the push. Not good. That is not exactly what they wanted here. It's going to be a 4-on-4 fight at last. 4-on-5 fight, sorry. You can see the scouts trying to catch up quickly to get in on this fight. This is not looking good. They didn't need to rush it as much as they did. Fragile had a 50% Uber advantage, and they rushed it. Melee rushed it, got picked off before the Uber. Definitely not what you want to happen. So FYI. And now the tables are turned. Kozen has the large Uber advantage, and Fragile needs to play back on mid. So again, anytime you have significant Uber advantage, the enemy team can potentially take 2 points on you. So Street Hoops, if they play this correctly, they could take middle and fourth point. So what XTS are trying to do here is force the Uber and not lose so many players, so that way Street Hoops only gets 1 point with this Uber. So if Street Hoops gets 1 point with the Uber, 1 capture point with the Uber, and nothing else, then XTS played it correctly. If Street Hoops gets 2 points out of this, then XTS played it incorrectly. They get the Uber force, they bail, they only lose 1 player. Let's see if they lose anyone else. Scout chases, nice juggle here. And they only lost 1 point. That was really nicely done. I'm going to reload my demo because it's a little bit laggy right now. Take 100,000. So yeah, it's a tough situation, that 2 to 3 push that Street Hoops is going for. They came from Big Door, which is low ground and really easy to get forced, but it's closer to the enemy choke. So they go for that play, and really nicely done by Decimate and company to just get that easy force and then bail. Alright, should be good to go here. Much better. So Decimate's going to spawn, and Fragile has Uber advantage. So the play that Street Hoops just did, now XTS is going to try that same exact play. And looks like they're going to rotate to Big Door as well. The Street Hoops going to be playing back. XTS, again, if they get 2 points off of this, they play this correctly. Look at that. Again, the 2 options were Uber in and kill everything and then take the next point, or bully them out and not use Uber, and that's exactly what happened here. Nice job by Badonsky and Rando to take that ground. And you can see Badonsky moving so quickly up at the enemy choke, locking them out already, preventing them from coming in and forcing or doing any sort of sacrifice play on the Fragile. Really nicely done. And same with the Fragile too, delaying himself and making sure that he doesn't get forced. Badonsky here has got to be careful, down to 22 health. Oh, but he actually baits that into Rando and gets the frag there, so that was so close. Deadbolt was 20 health away from getting that frag on Abanowski. But that's a 6-on-5. Full advantage push into second point here. Should be an easy take. Now again, we've seen this push before. The 3-2 push with 6-on-5 even Ubers. We've seen this push before, but it came from Big Door instead, right? And on Big Door, XTS got forced at about the same time, and they lost due to a big play by Ash in lobby. This time, Fragile's coming from the choke, and the nice part about coming choke is that everything is in front of you. So whereas if you go Big Door, there's the danger of getting forced from behind at the small shutter door. On this choke push, the only way you can get forced is on drop down. And drop down, there's nobody there. It's already been checked. It's already been covered. So there's no way that Fragile can get forced early. Look right here. They lose 2 players in exchange. They forced Kozin. Not ideal. Bit of a misplay there, but still. From the Fragile, at least, they're going to get this better Uber. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything with this, though. They're down in players. They're going to have to get out. So, a bit of a misplay from the XTS flank. But the idea was there. You know, trying to get in for free. I think the XTS flank just got a little bit too aggressive, too committed. This might actually cost them middle point. Yeah, it will cost them middle point. So that sucks. What could have been XTS's fourth point now becomes Street Hoops' middle point. The big misplay there, actually, because it gives the control of the match back to Street Hoops. And they're down Badonsky and Alpha. So down 2 players. Even though you hit tab and it looks like 6 players alive, you look at Badonsky and Alpha, they're just respawning right now. So Badonsky is not in a position to lock out the enemy from this choke here. And Street Hoops is going to walk right in and take this point away from them. I like what the Fragile is doing here with Rando. It's better to play the high ground on second point where you're defending with that Uber than it is to play Shutter Door and get locked out. You see them playing upper here. They don't want to lose any players. They're just trying to stall as much as they can because they need the Fragile to get Uber in time for last. Fragile 80%, Kozin 90%. Kozin's trying to rush it into last here and exchange the Ubers, but they're not going to do it in time. Fragile gets it. And Mele's going to respawn. So 6 on 6, the tables have turned. Street Hoops' turn to take the lead. And again, the similar hold that we've seen before from XTS. And I like the adjustment they've made. Before, they had the heavy up here in the front, and this time they had the heavy in the back to block the point. They also have Badonsky on the point. So these small tweaks they're making prevent them from getting back capped. And you can see, Street Hoops is going for the same exact play, pushing their scout to point. And they actually get Badonsky. Wow, incredible. This might be the round here for Street Hoops. We'll see. Nice pyro play. Good flashing from the Fragile. Keeping people at high health. They're down a player. Street Hoops might be coming in on this. Kozin goes down. It doesn't even matter though. 4 on 4 to win the round. Badonsky spawns up 5 on 3. Oh no. Yeah, didn't work out for them. Fragile got pretty low though. But not enough. Now you gotta check for the scout right here. Oh, Rando. 1 step ahead of Paragon. Nicely done.
The control point is being contested.
Okay, so 40% advantage for the Fragile. And they also have a 1-man advantage. So they can just shove right into mid here, and that's exactly what they're doing. Walking right in. Again, I like how the Fragile is taking it slow. If you notice, the Fragile is the 4th person to get into mid out of all the people. He's letting everyone else get in front of him. And he's also, right, if you're Badonsky and Rando, you're also stalling time for Mela and the other scout here, Alpha, to get, it's our Decimate, to get into position. Right, so the combo's trying to get in, but they're not going to force it. You know, they have the number advantage. They can just allow their flank to walk in big door and force the enemy combo that way. So that's a really important skill to know as a combo, is when you can just slow it down and allow the flank to create the space for you. They've done it before, but the flank has to be careful that they don't overextend and die. 40% advantage again for the Fragile, and they're going to try and take this into the next point. So again, they use the Uber advantage to bully them out of this point. The number advantage to bully them out. Now they're trying to take 2 points here if they can. They want to go exchange the Ubers right now. So I think before I talked about there's 2 options for the combo, right? Bully them out and then Uber into last point, or exchange Ubers and wipe them and then take the last point. But that only happens when you have 100% Uber advantage. In this situation it's different because Kozin is at 70%, is only 30% away from getting Uber. So the only option on the table right now is to bully and get 1 point and not last, or rush your combo into the enemy combo and exchange the Ubers right there and try and wipe them. And you can see what Koz is doing. He's not giving them that option. He's playing around that option. He's completely out, nowhere in a position for Fragile to come in and Uber into them. It's really nicely done there by Street Hoops. Even Ubers on last once again. We've seen this situation so many times now. This is classic Gully Wash. It's still 1-1. I mean, it's been back and forth, which is pretty cool to see, but it's been 1-1 the entire time. Neither team able to push last and win the round. If you're XTS right now, you need to be playing it really conservatively, because you can't afford to be pushed to your last point once again. The half is almost over. I'm not quite sure how much time it has been, but each half is 30 minutes, so this is probably the last chance that XTS, if they do it correctly, will push last. You know, they can hold last here and repeat this over and over again, and for the enemy team, you know, if there's no time left on the clock, they can't win the round. So if XTS just stalls out here and leaves about 4 minutes, 5 minutes left on the clock before pushing, that'd be good. So whereas before with 25 minutes left on the clock, it was really boring to watch this, now this is actually strategic. Waiting for XTS to run the clock down, so that way there's no chance for Street Hoops to push their last point. There's actually a spy behind in the upper lobby behind Fragile here on the left. Is he gonna die to it, is the question. Ash is so patient. Oh, this is where it gets dangerous. Okay, nice job there by Fragile. Nice, nice, nice. Now, as he's doing that, he has to be extremely careful that a soldier doesn't bomb into river and force him there. But nice job. That's why he ran up. That's why he ran away from the river there, because he's just scared of getting bombed. And now that he knows the bomb's not happening, he can push in with the CV Uber. Exchange. Gets caught in, and I don't even know if it matters. There might not be enough time left in this half for Street Hoops to push and win the game and win the round. We'll see. Street Hoops are gonna go for this push out, which is the wise move here. And Fragile needs to make sure that his team doesn't lose the round. So I'm not quite sure what XTS is doing. Maybe trying to just not let them get the next cap, because they know there's not enough time left in the half. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I can't see how much time left in the half, unfortunately, so we have to guess.
Our control point is being captured.
Pretty funny. Yeah. Good job here from Badonsky and company to just stall it out, slow it down as much as they can. Give Fragile time to get Uber. Kozin has 40% advantage. So again, if you're Street Hoops, you're trying to rush it as fast as you can. Exchange the Ubers, kill XTS, wipe them, push to last quickly. Fragile, trying to slow it down, you know, making sure he gets Uber, doesn't want to wipe here. Playing keep away, right? Kiting this Uber away, not letting them get him. This is the same exact play they've done before. XTS did a really nice job forcing big door and then backing off of it. And they might get Uber in time to block me, but they're going to play it safe and not do anything too risky. They have full advantage. Now that big door push has worked out well for them in the past. I'm surprised that they're going to go for a choke push here. They should really rotate over to big door. This is dangerous. Again, the reason why you should be going big door, there's two reasons actually. One is because it's worked for you in the past, and two is because you just left the choke. So as the Fragile leaves the choke, Duatna's going to be putting traps there. So the obvious decision is to go big door, where the traps are not placed. And I'm not quite sure I agree with this decision here, but it's not the worst decision. It's not the best decision either. They're going to pop early, and Street Hoops are going to go for a wrap play, pushing 2, 3 on 3. They're not focus firing very well, but they have the heals. Nicely done. Ooh, Duatna, big play! Oh my goodness. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't agree with the play from the start. Like, when you have to go choke like that, you're gonna have to stall out. You're gonna have to slow down and try and clear the trap. Looks like there's no time left in the half anyways. Doesn't matter. But oh well. Let's get the half here. I'm using a plugin called Spectator something. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Spec Player is the name of the plugin. You can find it at www.teamfortress.tv. There's a link on the thread. There's a thread somewhere on the forums where I found it. It allows you to see through walls. It puts the health numbers over people's heads. It also lets you put nameplates on people if you want. It has a mini map. I mean, the guys who made that mod put a ton of time into it. It's pretty incredible. And you can choose, you can customize which options you want to turn on and off. Very cool. Highly recommend you look into it. I've been using it for pretty much all my demo reviews since it came out. The other one that I sometimes use, you'll see me use it occasionally, but I've stopped using it recently, is what I call Fulbright. You might be able to find it the way I downloaded it on the Steam powered user forums, SPUF, but I will upload a version for you with my HUD. So if you download my HUD, it'll be in there. It's called Fulbright, and what it does is it lights up all the players so there's no shadows on the player models, which just gives you slightly better FPS, and it also gives you the added benefit of lighting up your stickies. So the stickies are just super bright and you can see them from a mile away. You can't use them on SVP 2 servers, but I used to use them when I was doing demo reviews so you can see where the traps are, because they can be hard to see sometimes. Hey Demo Lion, what's waiting for this demo to finish. It's been a pretty close match, 1-1, back and forth. I think there was one crash, but it didn't really affect the outcome of the match so far. It's been a pretty close game. Both teams had their fair chances at pushing the enemy last point. Good defenses as well, though. Okay, XTS going for something a little more standard. Big door rollout. And they're running at the enemy side here. And the difference between the very first mid, if you recall, the first mid, Fragile couldn't run up. This mid, if you'll notice, Duanna is playing on the ground. You can see him over here. He's playing ground. And so this allows Banowski to run up the right side. Look how many players are up here. This is why it's safe for Fragile to run up. He's the 5th player to come up the right side. So it's very safe for him to run up. And once they take the high ground, they're in a very good position to win the entire round here. Look how much space they have to work with. They have this entire right side platform. They have control of the enemy health pack. Meanwhile, on the enemy team, look at them. They're not using the space that well at all. Kozin is slow to walk up. They have people on the low ground. They have 2 players on the low ground, maybe 3. Yeah, they have 3 players on the low ground. Duatna's on the low ground as well. So 3 of their teammates are on the low ground, and the only 2 players alive on the high ground are pretty hurt. So this is a decent chance for Exertus to just push the enemy side and win the round there that way. Let's see how it ends up for them. They're pretty hurt. Yikes. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why that happened. Maybe it's just a really solid play from Ash jumping up from underneath, but I don't know. I think XTS should have had that. It might have been a DM thing too. I'm not quite sure. The DM you'd assume is pretty equal at this level, but I'm not going to overanalyze mids. I just want to see how the Fragile plays. There was really, in my opinion, there's really nothing that the Fragile could have done differently to change the outcome of that mid, other than not getting nuked by Ash underneath. Ash had a pretty good bomb onto him, but the Fragile still lived with about 7 health, and he could have been fine. Once the other fragging classes went down for XTS, it was over for them on that mid. So you can see that this last point hold, it's a full advantage for Street Hoops. So interesting how XTS is choosing to play this. They suspect, right? You look through this window. The way you play this is you look through the window right here and see if the enemy combo is coming shutter door. And XTS knows that they don't see them at a specific timing, so they know the enemy combo is coming river. They don't even have to scout it, they just know. So they have a soldier up here spotting this as well, so they know the enemy combo is coming this way. So that's why Alpha is positioned right here next to the spool. There's a couple ways you can play this out when you don't have Uber. One way to do this is to put your combo on this platform, the right side, and then kite it to water and sit in water and try and defend the last point that way. The other way I've seen teams do it is the way that XTS is doing it right here, playing the top left platform, which puts you farther away from the combo, which makes it easier to kite it, but you're also giving up a lot of space, right? So streamers are going to just be able to walk in all the way up to the stairs without too much resistance. You see Bronski underneath playing the water, preventing them from going water, and putting pressure on last point. And this heavy is in a good position to block the point as well. So what XTS has to do, as fragile as the combo, his options here are to, when he kites the Uber, he can kite it to secret, but it's kind of a dead end for him, so it's probably not the best place to be. He could kite it to lower lobby, but you got to be careful because it forks into a Y here, and you can get flanked from 2 different sides, so that's kind of risky. And the other way to do it, and probably the way that they're likely to do it, is to go top shutter here. You can see Mela already making the space in lobby for them, and if Rando pushes lobby, he might be able to turn a frag on one of these scouts. The danger with doing that is it's hard to get back to last point and defend it in time, but you can see both scouts are in front, so it's going to be hard for Streets to put a lot of cap time on last point. We'll see what happens here. Uber comes in off the right. They're putting that point pressure.
The control point is being contested.
I sit him. Again, trying to run up this right side on the mid, and Badonsky's way ahead of him, making that space. Fragile coming up. This time they do a great job of stuffing Ash. Wow. They have pretty hurt scouts. I think Fragile healed Badonsky a little bit too much, because Badonsky had a health pack. He could have put a little bit more into Alpha or Decimate. That's probably my only critique for that mid, and one of the only mistakes I've seen Fragile make on these mids so far. I mean, there's probably other mistakes that I'm not seeing, but that was a mistake that I saw. Putting a lot of health into your demo man on mid doesn't necessarily make a lot of space for you, but putting health into your scouts does. They still win the mid regardless, and so right here they could push last right away because they have this 50% advantage, but their best option is to pop in as late as possible. So, and this is kind of difficult because Fragile has to know exactly how much advantage he has over Kozin, but he could wait 20%, 30%, and then go in and try and kill Kozin, and that would give Mela a little bit more time to catch up to this team fight. But I don't know. I don't know if they want to cut their margins that slim. Looks like they drop Rando, so the whole thing's gonna go to shit now. Okay, so Kozin died to Alpha, and Fragile's focus now is to play the heals here and prevent the enemy team from pushing out of last, and then also, once that push is stopped, he's going to try and build up an Uber advantage. He's already got a pretty significant one now. He's at 30% Uber advantage. They're trying to break this lobby hold here, so that way Street Hoops cannot do a forward hold on them, but they're having a hard time doing it safely, so they're just going to go the safe way. Come around the top. Still huge advantage here. It's up to 40% now, so XTS just need to get a lot of people in on this Uber, just like what Street Hoops did. Here they go. Need to get 3 people in on this Uber. It'll be a good Uber. 1, 2. Get the heavy in as well. Looking good. Nice.
control point is being captured. Time has been added.
Does this look familiar to you guys? Hey, Bob's been on.
Alert. The control point is being contested.
Okay. I kind of zoned out. Sorry, nothing to say about that. They have number advantage here. They could win. But it looks like their troops are gonna get some spawns, and they're gonna contest that. So not gonna happen. Nice pick. It's unfortunate that excuse me. It's unfortunate that Alpha got the pick before Fragile got Uber. They couldn't really do anything besides sack melee. Mila says if I suicide one more time this game, I'm gonna suicide in real life after. Little spy play there. Nice.
The control point is being captured.
Nice, nice. I'm not quite sure why Ash chased the Fragile instead of defending last point, but it was a good job by the Fragile to bait him into chasing him. Right side mid again. Nice try. That's kind of unfortunate. I think XTS didn't like really play too close together as they should have. Badonsky dropped off to the enemy side, and then one of the scouts, I think it was Alpha, dropped off to their side. So they weren't really playing together, shooting the same things. Fragile goes crits here. It's gonna have himself a crits advantage. It's probably best to go crits from the big door because it just offers more space to work with. Let's see, are they gonna go crits choke? Okay. Jump with the soldiers in. Ooh. Nice bomb there from Grape. I like the idea of the play though, like bomb the soldiers in and create the distraction and then crits in on the Badonsky. That's a good heads up play though. 2-on-2. Anybody's game. Fragile's gonna stay crits. Like I was saying, the big door offers a little bit more space to work with the crits, but when you bomb both soldiers in, it makes space for you to try and get space to get like an angle for Badonsky to get his crits in. So I like the idea of it, but it still works out for them. Unfortunately, they weren't building as well as they could have, and I think Kozen's gonna get Uber in time for last. We'll see though. Kozen's buffing everybody in the world and not building. Oh. No, he gets it. But a little bit too late. And XTS are gonna come in with the number advantage. I thought Kozen was gonna get it because he was only like 10% behind, but right at the end there, Kozen started buffing everybody. He didn't build at the last 15% that he needed. I'm playing this game on PC. I didn't think anyone plays this game on Xbox anymore. Nice. Yeah, I think they were doing like some team versus team stuff on Xbox, but I don't think it's very I don't think there's that many people doing it anymore, honestly. The game's been out for like 6.5 years. If people are still playing on Xbox, I'd be pretty surprised. Plus, wouldn't you be surprised if people could turn this quickly using a joystick? Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but the back half of that match got a little bit boring. Saw a lot of the same plays that we saw in the first half. But for those of you guys who made it through, hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the demo review. Let me know what classes you want to see next. Let me know if you enjoyed this. I plan on doing it in the future. I know a lot of you guys will probably be asking, like, what was the plugin that he used to get the health numbers above the players? It's super helpful. It was my first time using it, and it's top notch. It's called Spectator Tools plugin. It was created by Gentleman John. I'll include a link to it in the description on this video, but man, props to Gentleman John. That is a crazy good plugin. I mean, he included so many different things on it besides the health numbers. He got like health bars and nameplates, a mini map for TF2. It was crazy. He put so much work into that, and yeah, it was awesome. So anyways, see you on the next video, and thanks for watching. Bye.